have another book. Nothing to do with German flying saucers, but it is something I've been looking for quite a number of years. It's actually this. There we go. UFO's Photographs, Volume 1. But this is Volume 2. If you go on eBay, there's a little screenshot of it, you can see. It does cost a lot of money. But I managed to get this book, well, that one, from America. I actually got quite a lot of books from America coming. So I thought I'd just do a bit of packaging because there is a photograph in here. Plus, I'm going to be talking about a little bit about this guy, Joseph Andreas Epp, which kind of leads into German flying saucers. So we'll just get to that in a minute. Right, let's put this to one side because I'm going to show you what I've been buying for the past, I would say, past couple of years. And it's books on cloud formations. This is just a short explanation why I'm buying books on cloud formations. Is because I want to know whether or not these trails we see in the sky, i.e. contrails or chemtrails or whatever you want to call it, whether or not I can track these trails back years ago. So this is just like a specific book I bought, and here's the date on it. Here we can see 1986. Okay. I'm going to show you the books I've been collecting since the beginning of the year on cloud formations. As you saw, this is from 1986. This is from 1987, 1955, 1991, 1981, 1989, and 1957. Let's put that to one side. 1963, 1968. Just a couple more books. 1943. And last one, 1962. Just joking. 1972 and 1930. 1944. That's the last one. No, only joking. 1942. And that's the last book. 1968. This is all books that the chemtrail community don't want to look at. I wanted to know whether or not these trails in the sky can be tracking back years ago. And look at all the books I bought, dating back from 1910. Okay, this is how far back we're going. This is going to be an upcoming series of videos I've been doing since the beginning of the year on geoengineering and what has it been doing to the weather. So yeah, all that is to come. Okay, let's do this. So it's been, I don't know how long it's been. It's been a number of years since I wanted to purchase this book, but it just cost a lot of money. I just didn't really think it was worthy, purely because it was nothing to do with German flying saucers. Nevertheless, Volume 2, thank God for that. I really thought it was the first edition. As you can see here by the price, it's a lot of money. Look at that. Look at this. Let's get that nice and focused. Hope that's focused and line. UFO Photographs. Volume 2, Around the World. Rendell Stevens, probably known him. He's dealt with a lot of the Billy Meyer case of the Yarls. Untrustworthy, I could say, but bear in mind, Billy Meyer's case back in the 1970s was... It's fake, it's totally fake. Credible, I mean that credible. So take everything Rendell Stevens says with a pinch of salt, because I'm going to show you a photograph fairly soon. So let's have a little look. I've never seen this book before. So yeah, this book came out in... Let's have a little look. When did this book come out? So this book came out in 1985 by Rendell C. Stevens. Let's get forward. So yeah, these are all photographs from the 1950s and 60s from all around the world. Some of you may recognize, some of you may not. It's a bit like a nostalgic trip down memory lane, because when I see old photographs of UFOs like these flying saucers that we don't even see today, we don't see these flying discs. It's interesting. It's quite bright, isn't it? Shame it's not in color. Let's get forward. Look at that. That's interesting. Look at that. It looks like you know, when you used to go to parties, you used to have those cardboard dishes Like those cardboard plates, things like that. Two of them stuck together. Got a flipping flying saucer there, mate. You know what I'm talking about? Seriously, this guy has literally finished the party. He was like, "Hey, babe, watch this. Fake a fucking UFO." Yeah. Strange's got a pattern on it. There's no windows on it. So this was taken in Spain in 1967. I have seen this floating about on the internet. We don't have photographs like this, like these days. Yeah, 2 fucking dishes. So I'm just going to skip through so you can see the photographs for yourself, because some of them are not online. They might be, if you look hard enough. I haven't done a Google image search, but for your entertainment, we should have a little look. Ooh, hold on a minute. I saw the word Adamski. Yes, I thought it was. Yes, Mr. George Adamski, who was a contactee back in the late 50s, believed to be in communication with the Palladians, a bit like Billy Meyer, really. So I don't know, take his claims for all it is, but he photographed this. God knows what it looks like. It looks like a flipping turd, doesn't it? Let's have a little look. Skip ahead. Oh, I've seen this floating about. Wasn't this like debunked as like an airship or something like that, or like one of those balloons? The 3rd of July, 1967. Cumberland, Rhode Island. Let's have a little look. Ah, I see. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? It would be good if they got the actual coloured photograph so we can actually see. Oh no, what do you reckon, guys? So this was all taken on the same day, 3rd of July, 1967. Cumberland, Rhode Island. Oh, and again, you got these. Same again. So he snapped different photographs. Well, he's one lucky SOB. Son of a bitch. He's capturing these cigar-shaped craft and these flying saucers. Having a bloody field day if it was me. I wonder if they'll have the Joseph Andreas Epp photograph. Just taken in Japan. Let's take a look. They almost look like Foo Fighters, don't they? Yeah, we just don't see these old-fashioned flying saucers anymore. What they do is quite rare. Or maybe it's like an experimental military aircraft and they just so happen to look like that. Like the typical brim of a hat flying saucers. I'll go through. I mean, you have to admit, some of these people did fake photographs. Not all of these photographs are genuine. I mean, bear in mind, in the 1950s and 60s, especially in America, if there's any Americans we know back in the time, there was the massive hype of UFO phenomena back in the day. Well, back in the 1950s, well, even after the war, really. But the 1950s, 60s, where television and film started to be quite popularized, you have a lot of aliens and extraterrestrials, and especially UFOs like this. Let's do a bit of a zoom into this. You can have a look for yourself. Kind of looks like the wedding cake photograph from what Billy Meyer was chucking out back in the day. Bring that back a little bit. There we go. The wedding cake photograph. Here it is. This is an actual genuine flying saucer, and definitely not Christmas lights glued onto a dustbin. Well, I know this. I've seen this somewhere before. Hold on, Mr. Nerd and his bloody books. Hold on. So this book here, Man-Made UFOs from 1944 to 1994, 50 years of suppression. You said that word wrong then. And let's skip to, is at the back here? I know it is, mate. I know it is. Calm down. Calm down. Oh, I found it. There we go. There we go. Oh, hold on a minute. Is that same description? Is it taken from this book? June 16, 1967, midday. Yeah, so there we go. So if you want some good old-fashioned UFO photographs, this is pretty good. Pretty lengthy book as well. So there we go. I noticed these photographs. Definitely. So let's skip ahead. So that flipping chemtrails there, is it? Looks like Foo Fighters to me. Oh, look at that. This is interesting. 19th of July, 1952. And we have this. Look at that. Have you seen a flying saucer, or what it says there, a cigar-shaped object, produce a smoke trail? No one's taken on that in Peru. Look at that. That's interesting. We don't really see that. Ah. Focus. Bangkok. Argentina, especially where a lot of the Nazis went after the war. And we have some balls of light, which is a very common sighting. Still to this day. A little look. Let's pop over here. Right, look at that. I see this all the flipping time, and I'm going to prove this in a minute. Right, 5th of September, 1955. Right, that. Okay. I'm going to show you a book roughly 20 years beforehand. Okay. Well, this is what the description of that or that object is. Now, we clearly know that's the flipping clouds, isn't it? Okay. Because I was literally pulling out my old books on UFOs and I come across this. World famous UFOs, Colin Wilson. And this came out, oh, it stinks as well. That's one thing I don't like about these old vintage books. They absolutely bloody stink. This came out in... Can't find it. Let's put the date on there so you know. There we go. And as I was skipping through, I came across something. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I found that before. Yes, there we go. Look at that. Right. I wonder if that will... UFO seen in Brazil, 1969. Now, that's a flipping cloud, isn't it? Okay, but there's no question mark on the description there, so it's not like, is it? But no, it's apparently UFO seen. All right, look at that. That to that. Looks pretty much the same, doesn't it? In fact, is the flipping same. So yeah, these clouds can produce these saucer-shaped effects, and I believe it's actually hitting like the mountain tops or something like that. It's nothing related to do with UFOs, but you can see back in the day, the stigma, they see something circular-shaped cloud, it'd be like, oh, flipping aliens and reptilians are coming down. So there we go. It's just the common theory back in the day that these clouds are just clouds and not UFOs. As in this book again, I've seen very common photograph. Kind of looks experimental, doesn't it? It's possibly something that can be built on this earth. Have a little look. I think that might be it. Yes, there we go. So yeah, as you can see, some very interesting photographs in here. Very fantastic archive of photographs dating back from the 50s and 60s. So I officially have Exhibit A and Exhibit B to my collection. There we go. So yeah, these costs, well, as you can see here, these brand new, they do cost a lot of money. But if you are a UFO book collector like I am, especially a vintage book collector, these are definitely worth having in your collection. So, moving on from volume 2 to volume 1. And let's bring up this guy here, Joseph Andreas Epp. This book was released in 2002 about Joseph Andreas Epp, who died in 1997. Joseph Andreas Epp inserted himself into the German flying discs of 1940s that were being developed by Rudolf Strever, Otto Hubermoor, Giuseppe Belluzzo, and Richard Mithe. And these were these turbine-driven aircraft that I talked to death about on my various interviews I've done on German flying saucers. Here is an interview with Joseph Andreas Epp back in 1994 in this documentary here called UFO's Secrets of the Third Reich. And he describes what he saw back in 1945, where he details he's seen a German flying saucer being test flown in the hills above Prague.
The 26th Fighter Squadron had been ordered to fly from Kiel to Norway in order to resupply the 30 Fighter Squadron of the Bambach Command. On the return flight to Hamburg, I took a model of my aircraft design with me, and taking advantage of the opportunity, actually had it forwarded to Ernst Udet in the Reichs Air Ministry in Berlin. Udet passed this model on to the research establishment in Peenemünde, where tests were later carried out. Over and over again, I later heard reports from people who were working in Prague on the construction of flying discs, and progress in this field was actually being made. I also knew that Habermohl and Schriever were in possession of my model and had begun work on its practical applications. The second prototype was a flying disc, 42 meters long, and was built by Mieter Belluzzo in Breslau. This flying disc, as I discovered, was flown to Spitsbergen in Norway and should have returned to Rechlin on a directional beam with an unknown transmission frequency and code word. Due to a bad landing in Spitsbergen, it was damaged and was unable to complete the return flight home. After that, I drove into the hills just outside Prague, where the secret testing ground was supposed to have been located. I had my Leica A camera with me when suddenly I saw such a flying saucer. I was wounded at the time, so I know that it was November, December, although the test flight was not due to take place until the following February. Someone had made an unscheduled test flight, and this is what I saw coming towards me. It had no wings, absolutely none. I took a photo and wound on the film, but it was already directly over me. Then I took a second photo, and I could see that it was a flying gyroscope, a flying saucer.
Here's the interview with Andreas Epp and his photograph that I want to pay attention first of all. So let's put this one to the side first. And let's bring this book out. Okay, this is called Die Realität der Flugscheiben, which means the reality of flying discs. This was written a few years after Andreas Epp has died, because he died in 1997, and this was produced in 2002 and reprinted in 2005. I will do an episode on Epp's life because it's all over the flipping place. And I would say this now, if you're doing any research on him at the moment, or if you've done any research on him, take everything he says with a pinch of salt, because I've been reading through his bibliography and there's a lot of inconsistencies, and I mean a lot. Skipping that, let's just go to the photograph that he showed on the documentary. Here it is here. Okay. Here is a screenshot of... You've always taken 2 photographs, because this one, okay, but there are some built where you can see like an old church, the trees, and you can see he's up in the hills where he claims he was in Prague of February of 1945. But I want you to pay attention to this photograph here, okay? So he has the, so here is a screenshot again of the original photograph from a documentary, okay? It looks genuine, doesn't it? It looks like a real vintage photograph. The discoloration here is because of the watermark, and it is described that on here because obviously this book is in German. It just described that because he left it exposed. Eventually, some damage has happened to the photograph, so you can see here that is what's happening. Okay, so here's the original, and here is the copy in the book. So let's bring out this book here. This is Volume 1, UFO Photographs Volume 1. Okay, we just looked at Volume 2. I haven't done an unboxing of this because I bought this a number of years ago. And let's skip to page 137. And just read the description on here. This was taken in Italy on the 29th of August, 1962. You can read it for yourself. You know where this photograph was originally taken. And will this bloody focus? So let's put this to one side here. So here's the photograph I want you to pay attention to. And let's bring out Joseph Andreas Epp photograph. Now you tell me whether or not that's the same photo. Look at the trees, the branches sticking out. This one here, that one there, and you can see. So this is the original, and this is the copy of it. Okay, let's put this into a timeline. Joseph Andreas Epp released his photograph in 1994. Well, it was in a documentary that came in 1994, so it might be taken the year beforehand of 1993. Just rough guessing, 1992, 1993, okay? This book came out in 1985, but they're the same photograph, but 2 different descriptions. But we have Joseph Andreas Epp's account of the documentary. But what about this? What's going on here? Why do we have 2 photographs that are exactly the same? Look, if you just, it's kind of a bit difficult, but I just want you to have a look at the branches. Okay, in fact, this is a snapshot. You can see side by side. The photograph that's in Rendell Stevens' book, UFO Photographs Volume 1, has been darkened. You can see that. But pay attention to, I could never get this in shot right. As you can see here, the shading is a lot darker. Oh, look, this is the copy, this is the original. And you can see here where my pen is, the triangle. There's a little bit of a triangle here. You can see that. I think it's that there. Okay. But nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, this is the same photograph. So what the bloody hell is going on? Who do I believe? Rendell Stevens? Or do I believe Joseph Andreas Epp? But reading through his book is full of inconsistencies. And Andreas Epp, throughout the 50s and 60s, was a designer of the Amiga disc, and he was trying to sell his patents, but he never released his photograph that he's been in various newspaper articles throughout the years. So what's going on here then? Who knows? The mystery continues. But I have to admit, when I looked through that photograph, I was like, oh, that looked familiar to me. And it's both the bloody same, isn't it? It is both the same photograph. I might be wrong. I mean, come on, look at it. Maybe Joseph Andreas Epp faked it. But how did Rendell Stevens get the photograph? Do you understand what I mean? Because they are both the same. They are definitely both the same photograph. So yeah, there we go. That's a mystery that I will go into when I talk about this guy here. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you want any vintage UFO photographs, these books are definitely worth to have in your collection. So please like and subscribe, and I shall see you very soon on Investigate with Nick. If you follow me on YouTube, it'll be the Cosmic Twilight. But please follow me on Rumble for daily content. So smash that like button, and I shall see you very soon. All the best, guys.